Hello, my name is Leota Augustine. I go by Lee. Welcome to my Reading and English Language Learner research presentation. I have titled my presentation Promoting Success for ELL Students because that is my focus. That's what I hope to achieve through this research that I've conducted to complete this presentation. And I'll introduce myself here. I am a kindergarten teacher in an urban school in Oklahoma City. Unlike many of my peers who have, I have some peers who have classes that are full of all ELL students. They don't have any L1 students in their classes in many of our schools. However, I have only had one or two ELL students in my classes over the past several years. However, it is still just as important that I educate myself on effective ways of teaching, motivating, and helping these students to perform and fostering achievement. And in the past, I have had ELL students that were visibly frustrated and without understanding their challenge and what they needed from me, I haven't been able to address some of the issues that the ELL students face because I was not aware of them. In traditional education or teacher education environments, ELL training is not always provided, especially in older models of teaching education classes or programs, because ELL students may not have been um, part of part of the school population, or as large. The population may not have been as large as it is now. However, realizing how important it is to educate these students and to help them become successful, that is the focus of my project, and the rationale is that teachers such as myself that have not been formally trained still need to have the ability to support ELL students in their education, and also to support, coordinate, and collaborate with our peers so that we can all do this effectively as a team. And one of the things that we're working on at our school is establishing a committee that will focus on this in the future. The first article that I accessed or read as part of my research is titled Meaningful Student Involvement. It's a guide for school change written by Adam Fletcher, and it promotes student engagement and empowerment as a motivation for academic achievement. And in this article, there were a number of ways listed for fostering or building student engagement and empowerment within schools. And one that I gravitated to was um, co-partnering with students in the classroom, or partnering with students in the classroom to help them lead, teach, and also in some ways to govern the class. And one of the reasons that this resonated with me is that as a kindergarten teacher, this is something that we can do, and in fact, something that we are doing, and allowing students to help establish some of the rules in the classroom, teaching them ways of positive reinforcement with their peers, helping them to um, understand their responsibility for their own education, and um, their peers, to ensure that they're not disruptive of their peer education and respectful of it, and also training students to teach and support their peers through collaboration. And it's gone very well. The students have enjoyed working with one another, and they're learning from each other, and it also allows the ELL student not only to have that additional educational support, but also it gives them the socialization and the ability to speak in a natural situation rather than um, the formal or the formal conversation that normally takes place between teacher student. One of the additional resources referenced by Adam Fletcher or on Adam Fletcher's guide was soundout.org's um, website. And here I just have the page, the first page of it, which lists a fact sheet and shows some of the activities that soundout.org supports with students. And what I see here is student school board activities, and there are many other links to other activities. But this was impressive to me because this is a reference that teachers can use to establish this sort of student engagement and empowerment in their own schools. So here is a tool that any teacher interested in promoting those type of activities in their school can refer to. This slide presents a quote by Adam Fletcher regarding meaningful student involvement, which is said to be a process of engaging students as partners in every facet of school change for the purpose of strengthening their commitment in education, community, and democracy. And that leads us into the article for Parent, Family, and Community Involvement in Education, which promotes the essential role that families and the community play in the growth and development of young people. And really, with most students, not only ALLs, it's very difficult to foster success in many of the students that I encounter in the urban setting without the support of parents, and if not parents, the community. But this article gives some um, suggestions on activities that can be conducted in or outside of the school to promote um, parent, family, and community involvement in school and education activities. And in the article, Best Practices in Working with Linguistically Diverse Families, there are suggestions provided for how families can be brought into the classroom to support their students. Parents can share knowledge as teachers. I've had parents come in and read stories, share stories from their own cultures. I've always liked to sit and listen to stories that some of my Native American peers had brought into the classroom. And it also teaches the students to be aware of the history of other cultures besides their own. Parents and members of the community can come in to share native language with the peers of their students to speak in their native tongues and teach students how to say different words and how to make different sentences and or different statements, and even to offer classes in these languages um, sometime during school or after. And on this slide, it addresses the support that may need to be provided to families beyond the school environment in order to thrive. And with ELL students, there may be some additional supports needed um, that may interfere with the student's ability to concentrate on academic activities or the family's ability to participate. So, extending beyond the school is often a way to engage families with the school. And then here are more suggestions for family involvement offered through Epstein's framework on involvement. And here we see parenting, communication, volunteering, learning at home, decision making, collaboration with the community. Some of these we've heard before and seen in previous slides, but this is available to reference for anyone that's interested in implementing any of these activities. But I like the quote here at the bottom, provided by the president of the NEA, Dennis Van Rokel. Parents, families, educators, and communities. There's no better partnership to assure that all students pre-K through high school have the support and resources they need to succeed in school and life. And that is through parent and community involvement. And here is a practical guideline for the education of ELL students. This research-based recommendations for instruction and academic interventions. And it lists 5 practical ways, and I always gravitate to simple, practical methods that can be implemented easily. And it says that allowing students to study subject matter content in their native language promotes understanding, providing various books and picture books to promote learning in the subject matter areas or content areas, collaborative partnering with peers, allowing for using new words and context, use of translation software to translate complex text into their language, and then writing within content areas all help students to acquire the vocabulary and comprehension needed to understand content areas such as math, reading, science, history, and social studies. In the article, The Impact of Functional Linguistic Approach to Teacher Development and Content Area Student Writing, again, the focus is on the lack of confidence that teachers may feel when addressing the needs of ELL students due to the lack of training. And here it just mentions some of the effects of teachers' lack of confidence and how this might impact students, and also the unreasonable expectations that are assigned to educating these students in such classrooms with the expectation that they will acquire the vocabulary, the education that of their L1 peers within 1 year, and that's an unreasonable expectation. And again, I just mentioned my intent to work with the committee in my school to provide services and education instruction methods to teachers. Here, the critical role of vocabulary development for English language learners gives a few examples of how vocabulary can be supported. And activity examples provided in this article included meaningful narratives used by students as they dictate their own sentences, picture words that illustrate word meanings, read alouds, retelling stories, story mapping or dramatizations, and literature logs that help develop English vocabulary. And I also like the reference to a picture dictionary for younger students, such as the kindergarten students that I teach. And then this is just an example of some of the lessons that I have created for my ELL students to promote vocabulary and the use of adjectives, because I have an ELL student who's been evaluated by the speech therapist, and it has been determined that knowledge of more adjectives is needed. A number of studies reported the need for ELLs to develop language in a natural environment rather than the formal environment. And the best way of doing that that's been listed is to allow them to communicate, partner, and collaborate with their peers to promote language and also development of complex skills. And practical methods to be implemented in developing ELL instruction are increase English language production with peer interaction, teach language vocabulary structures, build on background knowledge, increase parent involvement, and writing opportunities. Next steps, as I mentioned, developing a committee, conferring with parents, collaborating with peers, and continued professional research and development, and then sharing all of the information that I learn with my peers so that we can all become better educators of our ELL students together. Thank you.